Very often I tell my clients and my friends or whoever I'm talking to remember to be patient with yourself. If you're on any kind of journey, I don't care what it is, if it's a spiritual journey, a physical journey, whatever kind of journey, weight loss journey, hair locking journey, whatever kind of journey you're on in life, the majority of the time, it takes time. So you can't rush yourself or beat yourself up through the process. So, one of the most important things I think is to be gentle with yourself, to give yourself time to get used to things and to learn new things. Many of the things that you want to do, you may have never done before. You may have never accomplished before. Nobody in your family may have ever accomplished it before. So give yourself that time and that space, that patience. Rome was not built in a day. When I wanted to go through priestess training, it took me 8 years. It took me 8 years to go from where I was to where I was going. Then that was 2000 and I can't remember what year that was, around 2011-ish, somewhere in there. And then after that, maybe 2010. And then after that, the journey still continued. So I have to be, even to this day, patient with my processes. So I was on Instagram. I love Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, you're missing out on my Cabbage Patch Kid tales. I'm doing these little skits. They're so cute. Anyway, you're missing out. Come check me out on Instagram. So anyway, I was on Instagram hanging out, and one of my favorite Instagram therapists is Sits with Sharon. I think she's some type of professional. I'm not sure what her title is, but if you want to check her out, go to @Sit with Sharon, and you can check out her messages. She leaves a lot of good stuff. So I was there checking out her stuff, and she left a list about things to get used to. So I want to talk to you about this list because I really thought it was cool for all of us. Okay? So let's do the introduction. I am Queen Set Haru, and thank you for joining me for another wonderful edition of Ask an Aquarius. If you haven't already, please hit the red subscribe button and smack the bell. Also, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and pass it on to somebody else who might like it too. Drop us a positive comment in the comment section. And if you want to get a reading done, please email me or hit me up, and I will be glad to give you a reading. Also, I have all this merchandise. I have Ask an Aquarius merchandise, and it's really nice ArchAngel Michael merchandise too. So if interested, check out all those links underneath this video. My Patreon is also underneath this video. So guys, let's check out this list. The list says it takes time to get used to. The first one is being compassionate with yourself. If you're the kind of person who always puts other people first, this is a mistake. You need to put yourself first. And the way that I do the hierarchy is God first. God is first. Heavenly beings, that's first. That's first. Goddess is first. Then after that comes myself. Notice I didn't put anybody else before me other than Goddess for obvious reasons. But a lot of people put themselves last or third or fourth, and this is bad. You have to learn how to be compassionate with yourself. I always say me, after me is my daughter, and then everybody else falls underneath there some kind of way. So you have to learn how to be more compassionate with yourself, and that takes some getting used to, especially if you're used to beating yourself up and putting yourself last. Get used to knowing your boundaries. This is a very important one. Knowing your boundaries, setting your boundaries, maintaining your boundaries. This does take getting used to, because most of us either don't have any boundaries, or we have boundaries with certain people in certain situations. And really, to be emotionally healthy, you should have boundaries with everybody. Everybody in your life, you should have healthy boundaries with. And a lot of people don't, especially with the people that are closest to them. So that might take you some getting used to. It might take some time. Give yourself that time because it's beneficial. Get used to checking in with your own wants and needs. Again, if you're constantly putting yourself last, a lot of people don't know what they want. It's so crazy. When I talk to people, some of them don't know what they want. They don't know what they need. They don't know what they want to do with their lives. A lot of people are just really clueless. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that they have never really focused on themselves. So you have to get used to checking in with yourself. I often ask myself, especially when I'm acting weird, if I'm feeling or acting weird, I ask myself, what's wrong with you? What's going on with you? I ask myself that question. And a lot of people don't. They just see themselves not feeling well, or they see something off and they just kind of, you know, they kind of ignore it and go worry about somebody else or think about their kids or their mom or somebody else. So you got to check in with yourself. Get used to protecting your inner peace. Oh my God. How many of us do not protect our inner peace? How many of us let our family members, our exes or our current lovers, our bosses, our co-workers, how many of us allow people to impede on our inner peace? We've all either done it before or are currently doing it. Okay, so this is one of those things. You got to protect your inner peace. If there are people around you who take away from your peace, purposely or not, you need to limit your time around those people. If it's your job, you might want to consider getting a different one. Maybe that's not the place for you, or maybe you need to pull that energy back. You know, it's a number of different ways to handle it, but you got to protect your inner peace. That's how people end up with ulcers, stress related high blood pressure, anxieties, depressions. All kind of things come from letting other people take away your peace. So you got to protect that. You got to get used to protecting that. Get used to taking up space in relationships. Some people are in relationships, and I see this a lot when I do couples readings. Some people are in the relationship, but they're constantly like, pulling themselves back, holding themselves back, not wanting to, if they have a problem, not speaking up because they don't want to bother the other person, and I'm like, well, you are in this relationship too. So basically you're denying yourself, you're denying your space in whatever relationship you're in. And it's like you're just holding yourself back. So the other person, it might not even be their fault. It could just be you thinking you need to do that. But you got to take up equal amounts of space in your relationships. You have to voice your own opinions and talk about things that upset you or desires or needs that you have. You have to show up in your relationship in that way too. Practicing new ways of communicating. So if you're the kind of person that has problems with communication, or you communicate it in a way that you don't want to. When I was younger, my communication was more aggressive. It was more violent. It was more, and this was with everything. It was always aggressive. It was always like that. And now I'm still assertive. That's never going to change. But I had to get used to communicating more kindly, more gently. And I did it for me because that's the person I wanted to be. So I had to get used to it, and I had to allow myself to make mistakes and to learn. And sometimes people would do things and I'd snap and then I'd tell myself, oh, I can't believe you snapped, but then I'd be like, okay, it takes a while to get used to it. You've been snapping at that point, I've been snapping for 20 something, 30 something years, When I decided to change my way of communicating, I was in my 30s, my late 30s. So it was like, okay, you've been snapping for 35 years. You're not going to just change overnight. So that was really important. But I just kept on trying. I kept reading things. I kept on learning about nonviolent communication. And I just kept trying. And now I rarely snap. I probably will. I probably will in the right situation or in the wrong situation. But most of the time I communicate the way that I want to. And that took a long time. I'm 44. So it took about, I would say, between 7 to 10 years, and I'm still working on it. I'm not done yet. I'm still working on that. Get used to holding space for your own feelings. This is true of all of us, but Aquarius often have a problem with this. So just allowing yourself to have your feelings, allowing yourself to address your feelings, express your feelings. I remember for a long time, I did not do this. I expressed anger, I expressed frustration, but I rarely expressed any of the other myriad of feelings that I had going on. Mostly because I didn't feel like anybody really gave a fuck. I think was the biggest part of that. But also it was sometimes embarrassing. Sometimes I just didn't want to share because I didn't feel like the person deserved my truth. You're not giving me your truth, well, I gotta give you mine. So sometimes it was for different reasons, but the place that I made the mistake at is that I should have held the space for myself. I might not tell you my feelings, but why don't I admit them to myself? Why don't I address them myself? Why don't I journal about them or see a therapist and talk about them myself? I wouldn't even allow myself that. So at least hold the space for your own feelings. Allow yourself to at least do that much. I know a lot of people who don't do that, and it's very unhealthy. And we teach men to do this. This is part of our culture. We condition men to do this. And and then we wonder why so many men have problems with their emotions, or expressing their emotions. You get a man and you're mad because your boyfriend won't talk to you. Well, he was always taught not to do that. And some men, of course, do it. They have learned that that's not healthy and they do it. A lot of men I know have been to therapy. A lot of men I know have done different things, read books, different things. But I think that it's crazy when we socialize them not to hold space for their own feelings and then penalize them for not holding space for their own feelings or expressing their feelings. And I'm like, wait, what? So as a culture, as cultures, global culture, I think we should change that, allowing people in general to hold space for their own feelings. Pausing before reacting to triggers. I think that if somebody upsets you, pisses you off, makes you sad, whatever, trigger in whatever kind of way, that it's always smart to pause. So your boyfriend says something ignorant, your girlfriend is insensitive, your mama got on your nerves, your child was disrespectful. Before you go off or before you say something you can't take back, pause. And I learned this later in life, but it works. So if somebody says some okie doke to me, whereas when I was younger, I would react like, what? Who are you fucking talking to? And I would go right off. Now I'll be like, hoo-wah, how about we talk later? I go right there, and the other person, they may or may not know it's because I'm triggered, but they usually just be like, okay, and then I go deal with whatever emotion I'm feeling with, and then I talk to them later, if need be, about whatever that trigger may have been. Some of the times, the person didn't mean to trigger you. Some of the times, you didn't even hear it the way that they threw it. Sometimes you think they said one thing or said it a certain way and they didn't. So pausing will keep you from going off and making mistakes. And the last one says, letting people be there for you when you tend to rely on yourself. This does take some getting used to. If you're the kind of person like me who's very independent, I wasn't an only child, but we're so spaced out. My sister is 10 years older than me, and my brother is 9 years younger than me. So it was kind of like being an only child, because there was nobody ready to play with, For a long time, my brother wasn't even alive, and my sister left home. So it was kind of like I was often alone. So I became very independent, and Aquarius are very independent, and there's some other signs that are very independent, and some people who become independent out of necessity. And if you are that kind of person and you grew up like that or you became like that, it does sometimes take some getting used to rely on another person. You might meet a wonderful person, a man or a woman, and you may like them and they may like you and everything is wonderful, but you have the hardest time trusting them and relying on them for the smallest things. And this happened to me one time. One time I was dating a woman, a Cancer. She was the last person I ever dated because I was just like, I need some space. After that Cancer, I needed some space. I needed some time. That was like 5 or 6 years ago, okay? I'm still not over it. Anyway, one day she and I were talking, and I told her I wanted something. I forgot what it was. It was a tarot deck. That's what it was. And it was a particular one, and it was really gorgeous, and I wanted it so freaking bad. And I asked her, no, she asked me what did I want for Christmas or birthday or something, and I told her I wanted this deck. So she told me she was going to get it and mail me the deck. And I was like, okay, you know, happy that she offered, happy to get a gift. You know, I love gifts. Gifts are my love language. But I didn't believe her. Not because she ever lied to me, not because she didn't give me whatever other times when she told me she would give me things or do something, she always kept her word. So it was no reason for me not to believe her. But I wanted this deck, and I didn't want to be waiting for it and it not come, and it was coming from Poland. So I knew it was going to take like a month to get to where it needed to get to. And I bought myself a deck. I bought the exact same deck just in case the deck that she bought didn't come. And my intention was to get the deck and then sell the other one. But I didn't. I kept both of them. Same deck, and I kept them both. Anyway, when she found out about this, because I didn't lie about it, you know, she asked me how I got 2 decks, and I told her. I was like, well, in case yours didn't show up, I just went ahead and got my own. And she was like, you didn't trust me to buy it after I told you that I was going to buy it? And I was like, I'm sitting there like, and she's like, is there a reason why you didn't trust me? Did I come off like, you know, deceptive or anything? And I was like, no. And I had to think about it. It was just the fact that I wasn't used to relying on anyone, and I didn't want to be disappointed. So I went ahead and did it myself. Like with everything in life, I just do it myself. You know, when I was married, some of you know, I was married to a man when I was 18 years old and got divorced, and the rest is history. But at that one point in time, I was married to a man, and whenever he didn't do whatever he was supposed to do, I would do it. I was like, man, look. And he felt as though it was emasculating. I felt as though, get off your ass. Like, what the hell? Like one day, very basic example, we got a brand new mattress. And the mattress came, it was delivered to the house, but it wasn't taken up to the room. It was left in the vestibule area. I don't know why. I was at work. I came home, the mattress was in the vestibule. He was sitting on the couch playing PlayStation with his cousin. I was exhausted. I asked him to take the mattress upstairs so I could take a nap. 20 minutes later, he's still playing Street Fighter 2. Okay. So I asked him again. Okay, I'm coming. Me and my cousin gonna do it. Okay. 20 minutes later, it still wasn't done. I knew I probably could not. There was a queen size mattress, and I had to lift it all the way to the second floor. First floor to the second floor. Only one flight of steps. And I didn't think I would be able to do it. You know, physically, I didn't think I had enough strength for it. But I didn't care. I dragged that mattress up them steps, okay? I dragged that mattress with every bit of energy I had, put it on the bed, and went to sleep. And when he came upstairs, y'all, he was mad at me for not waiting for him because I emasculated him. And I was like, bitch, I waited for 45 minutes and you knew I worked today and you could have took that mattress upstairs. So he felt as though I could have relied more on him, been a little bit more patient, and maybe I could have been. To be honest with you, I probably would do the same thing right now. But at the same time, it does show that whenever somebody didn't do whatever they had to do, I just handled it. And sometimes if you're in a situation, I don't think in that situation seriously, but if I was with a different person, it probably would be okay to rely on them and not just say, F it, I'm gonna do it myself. So I was tired and he was taking too long. Look, look, it is what it is. And like I said, I would probably do the same thing now, you know, but in certain cases, maybe not, you know. The whole 45-minute thing is where the real problem came in. He was just taking too long and I was sleepy. Let's take a look at these positive comments. Hey, Benjamin. Benjamin Law, how are you? Benjamin said, I love your content so much. This topic is relevant to my life right now. Very cool. Thank you, Benjamin. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be relevant and to be helpful. Christine Vandenbrink. What's up, Christine? My girl. Christine said, horror movies make me laugh. They are so fake. They really are fake, but all that blood and gore, and even though it's fake, because we all know the blood is nothing more than what, like strawberry syrup or something, and the pieces are like, you know, prosthetics and things like that. 9 times out of 10, you know, it's all plastic and syrup, for real. But the visual looks awful. I just can't. Like when you watch something like Resident Evil or Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I just can't deal with the blood and the guts. I can deal with like Jason, because you don't really see much. Jason, you might see some things fly off or something, but when it's a lot of blood and a lot of I can't deal with it. It's just, it makes me it makes me queasy. I just can't deal with it. So it's time for me to get going. So guys, listen, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and make sure you come back soon, because I can't wait to see you guys again. See you later.